Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Deal Podcast. I'm Logan Sowash, today being your host and moderator for this episode because this is a special episode. And you're asking yourself, what makes this special episode so special today, Logan? It's only like our second podcast. Well, let me tell you this. This is a ongoing producer fight in terms of a specific. This is going to be a bit of a first world problem podcast when it comes to our, because we have two of our producers who really love Weezer, and one has a favorite album over the other, and they want to fight about it today. And the band is Weezer. And to clarify, not the biggest fan of Weezer, not because I hate them, I just never listened to them that much. Beverly Hills was the first song I remember remembering Weezer. And then
with many.
Yeah, and then of course and then I heard Say It Ain't So because of Rock Band, and then Buddy Holly's a big deal, and there's some Weezer songs that I know. But to prepare for this episode, I listened to the two albums that these guys are going to talk about today. We have Louie Weiseman fighting for Blue Album, their first album, and we have Brandon Kratkoczki fighting for Pinkerton, their second album.
Louie and I have been fighting about this for a year and a half.
Oh, it might be a little bit longer than that.
I think it was the call-out meeting last year in the fall.
I really didn't expect a small offhanded joke about Blue Album being better than Pinkerton that I made to Brandon to turn into this.
Oh yeah, it's like,
well, it didn't help that both of you decided to jab each other about each album every now and again in front of people. Like, I think it was the call-out meetings when Louie would be like
every other taping.
Yes.
There's probably some people in the organization who legitimately think we don't like each other.
I think there's a few of us on the producers.
Only because of our differences on Weezer.
A few of us and the producers, when they're in the same room together, we're like, so how long is it going to take before they bring up the elephant in the room? And then, of course, somebody brings it up. And so you guys can start whatever you want. I guess do your opening statements.
Howdy. I don't know why I said howdy. We're from Indiana. My name's Louie, and I'm here to talk about why I love the Blue Album. So I think Blue Album was probably the second Weezer album I bought. First one being a Red Album. And the reason I got Blue Album is because I already knew most of the songs from it. Like Logan, I think I first heard Say It Ain't So from Rock Band, and then I was able to just kind of go and hear other songs like Buddy Holly, the Sweater Song online, just trying to find more about the album. So then eventually I bought it, and I think it ended up being one of the best decisions I've made buying music. Huge influence on me, and I've been a Weezer fan ever since. I think it's just kind of more of a nostalgia thing for me why I love Blue Album so much. I mean, I like Pinkerton. I think it's a great album. I'm just here to argue why I think Blue Album's better. I think it's just, like I said, more of a nostalgia thing, and it was kind of the reason why I now own every Weezer album and have been to at least 2 of their concerts. Brandon.
Okay, so it's funny you mentioned nostalgia because I'm also very nostalgic for Pinkerton. That was one of my very first serious music head moments because I remember my transition to being really pretentious about music was when I listened to Neutral Milk Hotel for the first time on a train. But going back to Weezer, I think that Pinkerton is better. I heard Blue Album first, and because it had all the songs I recognize off of video games and commercials. And I still love Blue. I think it's a really great power pop record. I just think Pinkerton is a little better. I think it is a little more emotionally engaging. I think on a song-by-song basis, it's kind of better because as much as I love Blue, I think it has a couple clunkers in there, and we'll get into those later. I think the guitar playing on Pinkerton is a lot more interesting, a lot more raw. And I think that it hits a level of relatability, I should say, and emotional potency that the Blue Album never really hit for me. I think the Blue Album is incredibly well constructed, but apart from a few tracks, it doesn't really make me feel like Pinkerton does. Yeah, I think Pinkerton, just for me, is a lot more engaging of an experience than Blue.
How, I guess to say, just kind of start off on how you first got into them. And how did you first get into Weezer? They've been around since 1994. That's when Blue Album came out, and then Pinkerton came out in 1996. Mm-hmm. And they've been touring, been putting out many albums since then. They put out 9 albums, 10 if you want to include Death to False Metal.
Which we don't.
We don't? All right, so 9 full...
I didn't know that.
9
LPs, not LPs, EPs.
No, it's LPs.
LPs.
Yes.
We'll put that debate on a second.
Point
episode.
granted.
Point granted. All right, but how did you first get into Weezer? Before I lose any more points.
Well, like I said, I heard Say It Ain't So off of Rock Band, and I thought that song was a lot of fun to play.
Was that your first song you ever heard?
Oh no, it was Beverly Hills like everyone else.
That's where I want to be.
Goodbye. Living in Beverly Hills. Okay.
You keep going.
Yes, I have a point to make. Yes, I feel like Weezer's just been kind of around in my life since I was like a little kid, because Beverly Hills was one of the very first pop songs I remember, and so when I first heard like Say It Ain't So and Buddy Holly, I thought, oh, so this is the same band. These songs are a lot better. I should probably listen to these, because when you're a kid, you want to go to what you're familiar with. And so I downloaded Blue off of an iTunes gift card, I think, and listened to it all the way through. I was about 11 or 12. I loved it. And then after a little while, I started downloading like singles, because I used to just download songs from albums before I realized that's a terrible thing to do. I listened to like singles, and one of their top rated songs was El Scorcho, and I found myself liking El Scorcho a lot more than a lot of the songs on Blue, and I was like, I need to listen to this album. And then I listened to it for the first time when I was around 13 or 14, and I really liked Pinkerton. It didn't really click for me, though, until I was like in the middle of high school, because I went back to it and I was like, wait a minute, Rivers Cuomo is singing about things that I recognize in my feelings. And so, yeah, then once Pinkerton was really cemented in me, and then I went back and listened to their other material, which, isn't as good, except for White Album, which came out last year. I almost think it's better than the Blue album.
Praise
I think it's almost better than Blue.
I love the Beatles. I'm still here, everybody. I'm moderating.
It's a full cover of the hit Beatles album, White Album.
I had a question. When it comes to Beverly Hills, which album was that?
That's Make Believe.
Was that their third, fourth? Which? Fourth. Okay.
Is it fourth?
Yeah,
I was just curious.
No, fifth. Because I forgot about Green. It's Blue, Pinkerton, Green, Maladroit, Make Believe.
Okay, I was just curious. You guys can both continue. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of my Weezer experience. How about you?
Like I said, and just about everybody else who's in their 20s, Beverly Hills. And I think I just kind of put them in the back of my mind and kind of just forgot about them, because I was getting to like other artists in the meantime. I was a really big Green Day fan through high school, and I think what started my Weezer obsession was hearing Pork and Beans.
Oh, yeah.
Love Pork and Beans. Yeah, so I got Red Album because of that. I was like, I'm going to buy this Weezer album because Pork and Beans is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Red Album ended up being really good. I ended up really liking it. And I think I wanted to go for some of their older stuff because, like I mentioned, I heard a lot of their older stuff from video games and just kind of like online. So I bought that and then ended up buying their whole other discography. Don't really know what order. It would just be kind of like, oh, here's something like cheap at this used CD store. Oh, here's like something I just randomly found at Best Buy. So it'd be stuff like that.
Okay. Neat.
So a little bit of a short history. But then, yeah, I've got to see them twice. Just like this past summer, saw them on their White Album tour, which was incredible.
Yeah, I missed it, unfortunately. I was supposed to see them in Chicago, but something else conflicted with it. I think it was work. Yeah, I had to work at the grocery store.
I had a buddy, he went with his girlfriend at the time to St. Louis because it was a little bit closer to her hometown.
Mm-hmm.
He got rained out.
Oh, no.
Tickets refunded, no rescheduled date. So, got to brag a little bit to him, be like, I got to see Weezer live this summer.
Okay, so that's a good start off for both. And I had a question for Louie. I was kind of curious because when it comes to most first albums, I'll let you start when it comes to defending or attacking Pinkerton. When it comes to most first albums for bands, that's kind of when they're trying to find their sound, and then the other albums kind of get better and better as they go along. Hopefully, that's how that works. So how is Blue Album better than Pinkerton, even though it's like their first album where they're trying to kind of find their voice?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think Blue Album just kind of was really an experiment. I think it was a mixture, because I think one difference between Brandon and I like maybe a little bit more poppy, radio-friendly stuff, and like not even just like swearing stuff like that, just stuff that could be like more casual to listen to.
You heard it here, folks. Louie loves swearing.
I think it just depends
Heck
on
yeah.
which mood Brandon's in, whether or not he wants poppy punk stuff. It just depends on the
I
mood.
mean,
It's the wind.
Like I said, actually it was like Green Day who kind of like broke me away from like just kind of like the true like pop stuff that was like really just made for people to listen to and buy. And I think with Weezer, it was just a little more heartfelt. I just really liked how the songs were. It wasn't like a really deep emotional connection with just like the lyrics and stuff like that. It was just a really deep connection with how the album was overall as a whole. I just really ended up liking the songs better. Like I said, I like both, but I think with Pinkerton, I heard it at like maybe a little bit later through high school when I was like going through a bad breakup or something like that, so I wasn't able to really connect to it that much. I just found a little bit harder time to connect to it after listening to it over and over again and listening to some of those songs. Yeah, it's a rockin' album, but I think Blue Album I was able to digest a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And disclaimer, this is just going to be two Weezer nerds talking about why they love Weezer. It's not going to be real fights between these two.
I mean, we could fist fight.
No, they both respect each other and their tastes, but
I
gonna
have lead toes in my shoes right now.
All right, so Brandon, what do you say to what he just said when it comes to Blue Album? And
I completely understand that point. I think part of my Pinkerton thing is that I heard it at the perfect time for me, because I was a pretty angsty high schooler, and
we all were. It's okay. Don't.
Yeah, we're members of an entertainment news show in the middle of Indiana. We were all angsty high schoolers.
That's very broad.
Shut up.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not. We were all angsty.
Yeah, so I was angsty, and I don't know. I heard it at this like perfect point in my life. Like I was ready to swear off women forever, and I was just like,
I'm glad that was a choice, Brandon.
that was a phrasing that I just went in.
I love it.
Yeah, and so I was just really just kind of feeling punkish and edgy, and just kind of contrarian, and like Pinkerton fed to that. Like the leadoff song is just really just a call to arms of just brutality and frustration. Like the way that Rivers just screams that he's tired of sex is just crazy song.
It's a very interesting leadoff.
Yeah,
it is. Because I listened to Blue Album first, and I went into Pinkerton. When I went into Pinkerton, I saw the track list. 'Cause I was curious as to how long and how many songs were on it. And when I saw "Tired of Sex" being the first one, I was like, "It's already starting off strong. Let's see where this goes."
Well, there's a difference, because it's like "My Name Is Jonas" is like this kind of progressive, like plucky opening, and then "Tired of Sex" is just this really just visceral punch in the face. Killer guitar
It's
song.
a lot more screechy, a lot more angry.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who's not the biggest fan of Weezer, but I know their hits, starting with Blue Album and hearing "My Name Is Jonas," I think that's the perfect song to start with, because you go, "Yep, that's Weezer." Like
there they are.
That's how you introduce yourselves.
Yes,
that sounds like Weezer, and they pretty much just keep that sound throughout.
But yes, I think that Blue Album, it's almost arguable that Blue Album was more formative to me, because
I think it's safer.
It's safer.
I think that's why I like it more. I think it's safer, just for how I first heard it. Okay. And then Pinkerton was just I think jumped a little more emotion for me to really take in.
This really dangerous, visceral album. Well, because Weezer fans were like confused by Pinkerton at the time, because a little Weezer history, folks.
Yeah, this is what always baffles me about how panned Weezer was. Not Weezer, Pinkerton was.
Yes, people really loved Blue, and it got really good press. But when Pinkerton
Three-time multi-platinum. Platinum album.
And like Pinkerton just went platinum in like 2012 or something.
Yeah, you're right. It did. It didn't happen a few years ago.
But what happened with Pinkerton was people were confused because they wanted that sunshiny, easy to digest power pop. And then that went away almost completely. And in the Rolling Stone Readers poll that year, they ranked it the third worst record of the year. And that just really messed with Rivers Cuomo, and then he was never the same. The end.
That is ridiculous. And I guess I would want to use this to segue into my next question to both of you this time, is that just for your preferences, what do you guys, when you think of like perfect albums or like a better album over the other, is it these songs stick out to you, or is it the overall kind of mood of the album? It doesn't matter if they're all great songs, and just if it commits to one specific mood really well, that makes it great. Like, what are your factors for like a perfect great album?
Oh man, I think overarching, just kind of general consensus of the album is really important to it. Man, that's a good one.
Didn't mean to throw those curveballs at you.
Yeah, that's good. No, it makes you think. I think if a band's going for it, yes, that needs to be really important. If they want to make the overall theme to it, I think it's really important. Like Blue Album does that pretty well. It starts out light, has some of those tougher songs like No One Else in the World Has Turned. They get a little more popular with Buddy Holly and Undone. A little more fun with Surf Wax and Holiday, and then it kind of ends on that really emotional peak of Only in Dreams, which I think you could argue was a good lead into what ended up being Pinkerton. But I think if albums and albums that artists are going to be putting out don't really want to follow that, like I'm the resident Fish fan of Real Deal, and a lot of their albums don't really have a flow to it. It's just, I think, a way of them to say, hey, here's our songs, and then they just go play them live. So I think with the other artists I've gotten into, which has been more jam band artists and stuff like that, I think overarching themes, you got to pick the hardest thing for me to say, isn't really as important to me. But I think if they are going for that and pushing for that, trying to make a theme to the album or trying to complete a story to it, yes.
Okay.
I would like to note that it took Louie 17 minutes and 3 seconds to mention Fish.
It did. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
And also, just say. So, Louie, one of your favorite bands is Fish. What's another one of your favorite bands? Just so people can kind of get your music taste.
I grew up really liking Green Day. I really like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay.
Huge OK Go fan. There's just some of my other favorites.
Brandon, you've got Kanye, you've got...
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question first about albums. Because I recently redid my top 10 favorite albums. I try to do it every couple months just so I can have a running list that I can give people.
This is the mind of Brandon Kratkoczki, everybody.
Yes. So what I look for in an album is kind of a combo. I think that an album needs to flow and all the songs need to make sense together, but I don't think you can have an album with... a great album with clunkers in it. That's part of the reason why I don't like Blue as much, because I think Pinkerton as a cohesive project, to me, makes a lot more digestible sense as a singular piece of great great alternative rock. And I think, unfortunately, there's a couple clunkers in Blue that I don't like as much. Like, I don't like No One Else as much as you do. I don't like World Has Turned as much, or Surf Wax America. Okay.
Not Surf Wax America. That's like the best song of the album.
I think it's fun, but...
Exactly. That's why it's so good. It's so fun.
I think the
it
best...
totally means, like, L.A. from where they're from.
Yeah. I think a great album combines having a really great theme and having some form of cohesion with having the jams. My top 10 favorite albums, to answer the second part of Louie's question, my number 1 is the Beach Boys' Smile, or at least the version that was presented on the Smile Sessions in
Pet
2011.
Sounds like every other top 10 albums ever.
No, I love Pet Sounds. I love Pet Sounds, but I don't put it in my top 10.
Too many top 10 lists for Brandon to like it.
Oh. My number 2 is Car Seat Headrest's Twin Fantasy, which is lo-fi indie rock. Number 3, Neutral Milk Hotel in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Louie is facepalming because I've just become a stereotype of a stereotype.
No, it's fun. It's funny to me because they sound like band name generators, but I know they're not.
They're real.
They're real.
I've actually heard Twin Fantasy.
All right, you can continue with your top 10 in a second, but I wanted to open up a bigger one because one of your big things in your opening statement, and you brought it back when you were talking about this, is clunkers and Blue Album. And I wanted to throw it over to Louie. Since he's got those clunkers on you, do you have any clunkers of Pinkerton that you want to give it back to him and just kind of say, like, these songs don't kind of work on that album?
I think, I'd say they flow pretty well, but I think just Butterfly at the very end isn't the best send off of the album. It feels you just like wanting for more, but in a kind of like a negative way. Like Only in Dreams really finishes it out.
I was gonna mention that. I think Only in Dreams is a better closer than Butterfly. I still love Butterfly.
They're usually pretty good at closing albums.
Yes, I think Only in Dreams is a better song than Butterfly. And then I'll just close with my top 5 so I don't have to go through all of these. And then my number 4 is Joy Division, Closer. And then my number 5 is Ben Folds 5, Whatever and Ever Amen. So, and a few of my other favorite bands are Death Grips, Scott Walker, The Mountain Goats, Kate Bush. And yeah, I just really I like rawer albums, I think. I like really emotional things. I like really out there instrumentation. I like sounds and mixes that I've never heard before or have never been presented since. And yeah, that's my taste about.
Okay, so Brandon, if you were going to recommend Weezer to people, would Pinkerton be the go-to one, or would you tell them to start with Blue
Absolutely not.
I would say no way.
Okay, I was just curious.
Here's the thing, it's like a first date. You don't want to get to the Pinkerton stuff until date 5. Because Pinkerton deals with a lot of themes that are really uncomfortable, and if you want to introduce this band that you want people to like,
you want to be tired of sex by date 5.
It's like you don't want to talk about your obsession with Japanese women
and the pink triangle,
and how lonely you are, and how you fell in love with a lesbian in college.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, those are tougher themes.
Which is something
I think that's kind of one thing I've always had with Pinkerton. I think the metaphors aren't as not as strong, but it's a little more upfront. I think Pinkerton's a little bit more upfront.
That's why I like it.
And I was looking through just kind of all the history of Blue Album, and Blue Album kind of hides them all away, makes you really kind of think about what the song's about. And like My Name is Jonas, I just learned today that it's about his brother who was in a car crash.
Yeah, I looked that up because I wasn't sure.
Holy
shoot! Yeah, right.
Shnikes. Shnikes. I'm glad I caught myself there.
But yes, I do think that Blue is a lot better of an introduction, because if you're going to listen past Pinkerton, I'd almost recommend listening to Pinkerton third. I think now that White Album is out, that'd be a good second album.
Blue, White, and then
I'd go Blue,
Pinkerton.
White, Pinkerton, and then Maladroit, and then It Doesn't Matter what order.
Maladroit's a really good one.
I like
really
Maladroit.
secret songs on there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think what you were talking.
You can just skip Make Believe.
What you were talking about with the symbolism and the lyrics being a bit more upfront. I read an interview with Rivers Cuomo a while ago that I'm remembering now, and he said something like he was thinking all of these like really raw emotions at the time, and he couldn't like not put them on a record. So I
think that's pretty clear through the album.
Yes. So that's why I like it the way that I do. It's because it feels like it's a really essential core thing that Rivers has to express onto the record. Yeah.
All right. Well, you both have been to Weezer concerts, correct?
I have not.
You have not? Okay.
Dose. One at White River Park or Lawn, or like the Lawn, downtown Indy. they just like a one set thing for the Final Four festival that was in town, and then once again when they came to town with I think Andrew I can't remember the guy's name. He did Sicilian to Satellite, so I just called them that band, and then
The Panic
at the
did that.
Disco.
Oh yeah, because isn't that what you saw Nicole there? Because she was there for
I
Panic.
did run into one of our executive producers,
Yes.
Nicole Kane.
And when you go to Weezer, when the Weezer concerts you went to, do they ever recommend Pinkerton? Do you ever hear like people yelling like, "Play this song from Pinkerton"? Or is it like what songs do they usually?
That's probably the funniest part because the encore was 2 songs. It was El Scorcho and Buddy Holly. El Scorcho being from Pinkerton,
yes, and Buddy Holly being from Blue Album. Yes,
yeah. So
that doesn't help.
So it's really nice. I ran into one of my buddies. Story time. I ran into one of my buddies at the show, and we're both huge Weezer fans. We own all the albums. We love all the songs, and we know all the songs. We know all of them. We know a lot of the words. So we run into each other. We end up like running almost to like the front of the lawn after being 2/3 of the way back, and we're just sitting there, and he's begging for El Scorcho, and they start into it, and we were the only 2 people singing it. I think we were the only 2 people around. Of course, the loudest song is going to be like Beverly Hills or Island in the Sun, and people might recognize Dope Nose, and probably My Name is Jonas because Guitar Hero 3 was one of the largest selling games there at the time, and that was one of the songs in the game. So a lot of people knew from that. I think a lot of the older 20s and 30s kids recognized Say It Ain't So and Buddy Holly. But no one around knew El Scorcho, which was
that's
hilarious.
I think this is another thing that we could talk about, since I haven't been to a Weezer concert, but I know a bit of the history behind him performing Pinkerton. Rivers Cuomo and Pinkerton had a really sticky relationship for a really long time. He really did not like performing from that album.
I think he was just hurt by it.
Yeah, he was really hurt that people didn't like that record because it was so personal and it came from such a really dark place inside of him, and that it didn't get the reception and like world takeover that Blue got.
I think it's important to note though, but like now it's like one of Pitchfork's highest rated albums.
Yeah, they gave it a 10 on the reissue.
It just gets like all these best of like 90s albums, maybe varying between Blue and Pinkerton because who depends on who's rating it. It could be between like a guy like Brandon or a guy like myself, and it has a huge cult following now. So people love it now, but it's weird. It just first came out, no one liked it.
Yeah, and so Rivers for a really, really long time would not perform songs from that album, and he like really, really didn't want to talk about it. But when Weezer started getting their juice back, around the Hurley times. I mean, Hurley isn't very good, but they were at least getting their juice back. And then when that record came out, they started being more accepting of their back catalog than they used to be because, like, after Pinkerton and the really poor reception, Rivers kind of, like, locked himself away to perfect pop songwriting, and that's why Green Album came out. And Green Album is a sanitized Blue Album, if that's even possible.
I think that makes sense. Like it's a much safer approach. I think like I said, Blue Album is something to introduce fans to them, and then Green Album is just kind of a more
the difference.
Let's get back to where we were.
The difference between Blue and Green is that Blue actually has something to chew on. I think Blue has a lot more meat to it than Green does, because Green is just kind of a breezy pop album when hip.
Yeah, that was a really popular song of the show. A lot of people remember that one.
Hip.
What was the song that had the music video of a sumo wrestler? I'm trying to remember.
That's Hashpipe.
Yes.
Is that Hashpipe? Which album is that?
Green Album.
Green.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites.
I was going to say the three music videos that pop in my head are always Buddy Holly, Beverly Hills, and that one. I just wanted to remember that. All right. Do you guys want to do closing statements, or do you have anything else you want to say? And this will be known as.
Can I have one more story?
You
Yes.
can tell your story.
So
Louie's
when they came
story
here
time.
in Indianapolis for the Final Four, they did Pink Triangle live. Once again, silence across the floor.
At the Final Four?
No, well, they're doing it at the lawn.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
like, did the NCAA...
that would be so awesome if
What
they
a-
did Pink Triangle at the Final Four.
Yeah, but they performed it, and no one knew the song. Like, not me, not my buddies, not anyone around me, except for, like, one other guy who was, like, 2 people away from me. I just remember everyone was just like, all right, cool. And then this other guy's like, oh my god, they're playing Big Triangle. Because like I like looked through all the set lists from like the summer. They just like never touched it. I think like I think the only songs they did off of Pinkerton were El Scorcho.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys want to go track by track real quick and compare and contrast?
Are we
sure?
Real quick.
Do you guys want to? Are you gonna just do with Blue Album too?
Yeah. So it's Tired of Sex versus My Name Is Jonas. Mm-hmm. Opinions around the table.
Oh man, I think I'd say both are good. I just think My Name Is Jonas is a much more comfortable one to kind of lean back into. Mm-hmm. Isn't the guitar part is just super fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm gonna have to be indifferent on this one. Both My Name Is Jonas and Tired of Sex brought the same just emotions for me in terms of like, yep, this is in terms of like, no, in terms of like,
what?
not emotions, but just the initial reactions of, yep, this is Weezer, and I think they're both first great tracks to the albums to kind of get you interested in what they're gonna play later on. So I kind of have to be in the middle on this.
Be red. I prefer Tired of Sex. I think My Name. Ooh.
Yeah, what a surprise! The guy fighting for Pinkerton likes the first outlet for Pinkerton.
I'm gonna concede on a few songs from Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tired of Sex is just Louie Weiseman and Logan Sowash are now dabbing, ladies.
We dabbed. It wasn't a process of dabbing. We did it even before he said it. We're so quick about it.
I know. I'm ashamed of myself too.
And anyways, I think Tired of Sex is a lot more visceral of an opening. I think it's a lot more engaging and hard rocking and kind of a blast, like a shotgun introduction. Like I think My Name Is Jonas is a better introduction to Weezer. Like for their first album, that's the perfect opener. But for Pinkerton, I think Tired of Sex is a shotgun blast of a punk song, and it's great. All right, track 2.
No One Else versus Get You. All right, I'm gonna concede immediately. Get You's better.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was here. Here's the thing. I'll just throw this
one.
out right now. Just both 2 and 3, I'm gonna give to Pinkerton because I honestly, when it came to let me check and see what their names are again. No One Else in the World Has Turned and Left. They both just sound. When I was listening to it too, My Name Is Jonas Part 2 and My Name Is Jonas Part 3.
They're pretty good pop rock
They're
songs.
decent, but I feel like it's like, okay, we're getting this again, and this with Get You, and I'm going back and forth in my Google
No
Play
Other
to
One.
see these. Yeah, Get You and No Other One, I just think they're better
I
second
can't
and
remember
third
how No Other
tracks.
One goes.
No meaning, no other one. This is only one.
This is Carpool Karaoke with Brandon Kratkoczki.
I don't know. I like The World Has Turned, Always Left Me Here, and
They're not bad songs.
They're good.
I don't know.
I
I
just think
just
Pinkerton's
No
better.
Other One. I just not really the biggest fan of.
Okay.
I really like No Other One, and I think both 2 and 3 are better. I'm 3 for 3 on Pinkerton right now. All right, what's track 4s? What are our track 4s?
It's Why Bother and Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly.
Buddy
yeah.
Holly.
Buddy
that's,
Holly's a perfect pop song.
That's quintessential Weezer, and I think that gets exactly
All right,
what
this
you want.
next one, I think Brandon and I got a little bit of a fight on. Undone, the Sweater Song from Blue Album, and Across the Sea.
Oh,
Whoa,
gosh.
lad.
I'm not even that big. That's gonna be hard. I'm curious to see what that is.
Hey, man.
I know what you're
How
going
you
to
doing,
say.
man?
Tell me why you think Undone is better.
Undone, I think, if I were to say what my favorite Weezer song is, I probably would say Undone. Fun fact about this song, Rivers meant to write this as being like super sad, super depressing, but the lyrics are just so kind of goofy that people took it as a joke. And plus, there's just like the whole weird beginning, like speech part, which I can recite perfectly.
You going to the party, man? It's gonna be so dope. Take it easy, bro.
Oh man, it's gonna be the best. Oh man, you want a beer?
Okay.
Got you. I'd say Undone is just so it's a little goofy, but it's supposed to be sad, which just makes it really odd, and it makes it really weird. It's just such a crazy ending. It's just such a crazier song, and I like weird because, like I mentioned, I lend to Fish, and they do weird stuff, and Undone's just a weird song.
It is,
and I love it because of that. Like the entire ending, where it's just like the guitar kind of like oddly fading out. You hear pianos all of a sudden coming in, door slams.
Well, It's funny you started with the phrase, if you made me say what my favorite Weezer song is. Because if you made me say what my favorite Weezer song is, I'd say Across the Sea.
Wow. This
Brandon.
is fate if I've ever seen it.
This is the Clash of the Titans.
If I were to pick probably my favorite song for Pinkerton, it probably would be Across the Sea.
Oh, jeez.
It's a good one, but, man, Undone, it just...
I think Across the Sea is the thesis of the entire album. The story of the song is Rivers gets a random fan letter from a girl from Japan who claims to be 18 years old, which is a question mark. She claims to be 18 years old. She talks about listening to Weezer on the radio on her way to school, and Rivers begins to fantasize about her and having this woman in his life. And it's a really startling song the first time you hear it, because he says some pretty distressing things that I don't think we can say.
I don't think we can.
There's a particular
Look at the
line.
lyrics. Yeah, look at the lyrics, and you'll see why on our PG show we probably can't repeat it.
I'll have to do that after the show because I didn't. After I talk about these two songs, I'm gonna probably stop giving my opinions because you'll find out if I keep going what's my favorite album if we keep. But I have to go. This is a tough one for me too. I liked Across the Sea a lot, and I liked Undone a lot because I feel like, and I don't know, but I think I might give it to Undone this time around. I think because after Buddy Holly, you're like, how are they going to lead this up? And they have this weird, goofy song, but it's so memorable. And if I had to pick a song, I'd pick Undone.
Okay.
I think
I can't get
part
mad.
of it's just like the unintentional humor in it.
No, yeah,
and
it's
just from the very beginning, the song's just really weird with just that drum fill.
Have you seen Mac DeMarco's cover of that song they did for the AV Club?
I did. That was something.
I liked for the talking part. He just goes, because apparently they learned, his backing band learned that song in the back of their tour van on their way to the AV Club studio.
That's awesome.
All right, for the next song, I'll be the one. I'll just say the songs: Surf Wax America versus The Good Life.
Good Life.
Surf Wax America, man. Because, like I said, it's quintessential, like, L.A. fun. I totally see why you prefer The Good Life. It's a great song, like I said. But Surf Wax America is just fun. It's just so free. It's so open.
Here's my thing. I couldn't care one way or another about Weezer loving L.A., unfortunately. I don't really like a lot of their L.A. songs, apart from L.A. Girls.
What about L.A. Girls?
Which is a perfect song. I have to give it to The Good Life because that's where Pinkerton's sense of humor is, I think. You were talking about Undone being a weird moment of levity when in this weird, depressing song, and I think Good Life is a weird, funny song in the middle of a depressing album. And I think the themes of it are really funny. I think the lyrics are really snappy and goofy. And yeah, I just think it's a lot of fun. It crackles. And the ending is really good with the slow part, with the drum build-up. And then it goes into that final chorus. And then the really discordant ending is really good. Yeah, I like Good Life better. And Logan's gonna stop giving his opinions before the end.
Yeah. We'll go to the.
Skipped a freaking song.
I'll give my opinions to the remainder of the songs when I get to my favorite.
Sounds good.
Next one. This is gonna be another one too. That's gonna be interesting. Say It Ain't So versus El Scorcho.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Is it possible to pick between those two?
They're opposites.
You guys, I was gonna say you guys have been picking this whole time.
Like I said, I like weird, so I like El Scorcho. I might have to cave in. Say It Ain't So is like the kind of like a quintessential like 90s song, and El Scorcho is that weird, goofy Weezer nerdiness.
I could see
to a lot of emotional issue.
I could see somebody that has nothing to do with Weezer just saying something stupid like, "This is a weird Nirvana song," listening to Say It Ain't So, and being like, "What?"
Here's where we're gonna
it's
get.
Like Weezer's version of grunge is what Say It Ain't So is.
Yes, I think that's a good description of it.
Here's where things are gonna get interesting because I'm gonna say It Ain't So is better. than El Scorcho.
Wow, you guys, we're not getting anywhere.
I think if I were with friends, I would still play Say Nate over El Scorcho.
Absolutely.
But if I was by myself, then yeah, El Scorcho.
El Scorcho is still a really, really delightful, bonkers pop song, but Say It Ain't
Brandon,
So.
why are we the way we are?
I love this. This is not going to be a Weezer fight. This episode will just be called That One Weezer Episode. That's
Yes,
what we're going to call
the episode with the Weezer talk.
The gang talks about Weezer.
Yes.
This is
Me
called
and Brandon
that.
talk about Weezer, but ended up having equal opinions about
Oh
each
my
other's
gosh,
albums.
here's another one. We have for number 8, In the Garage versus Pink Triangle.
Easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like In the Garage because it's nerdy Weezer, but God, Pink Triangle is such a good one.
That's a fun
All right,
song.
next one, 9 is Holiday versus Falling for You.
Holiday
Okay.
far away.
There you go. Holiday won that one.
You say you,
And- and-
you just can't.
And
Yeah.
finally, oh, you want to do something?
I think that I'm blanking on the Pinkerton song. Oh my god. What
Falling
was
for You?
Falling for You. I think Falling for You is the weakest song on Pinkerton. It just doesn't really have the as much of a lyrical drive as the other songs do. I think a lot of the other songs are a lot more engaging than that song. I still think it's good, but I have to give it to Blue for that one.
It's so big. It's so that I think it's emotion without it being like raw. It's just a big song.
It feels big, yeah.
Because a lot of their early stuff had those really big, like slow builds up.
Yes.
And then it just starts going crazy.
Mhm. And then we talked earlier, and we both agree that Only in Dreams is better.
Yeah.
I was going to
Because
say,
once again, it kind of does the
okay.
same thing where it's just like that huge build up into something like musically raw, just that guitar solo and
That was
the just drum fills that start coming in, and
That
then
was
just
the
that same bass part.
that was the first song I ever learned on the bass.
Only in
When I
Dreams.
taught myself the bass, it was like I need to learn the Only in bass on. It's,
Well, it's
really
pretty
easy.
Just 1 and 2
Two and a three and a four and a 1, 2, 3 and a 3.
And just to clarify, the last song on both albums is on Blue Album, Only in Dreams, and then for Pinkerton it's Butterfly, and they both picked Only in
we
Dreams.
went ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, and that's
Okay.
fine too.
Well,
I'll say,
let's go through
one
these
thing I
last
always
few-
had to give a compliment to is how Weezer finishes out albums, because I've
Yeah,
been kind of looking through.
They've
some
got
of these.
from these two albums, they have really strong finales.
See,
I
Green
think-
Album didn't really
I-
do it. Angel and the One from Red, I thought did a really good job at it. Even Ratitude, I Don't Want to Let You Go, I think is a respectable one.
It's as good as you can close the album with Lil Wayne on it.
especially for a
That
Pixar
is-
movie.
If I was, that is the one song I will always skip from Weezer.
Thank you,
I can
Brandon.
listen to anything else, but as soon as Can't Stop Partying comes on, skip.
We're gonna
I cannot
We're gonna
do
show
that.
Logan Can't Stop Partying after this episode.
That's
Oh
fine with me.
God!
It's the worst Weezer song because Lil Wayne is in it.
Oh,
All right, so
that feels like a clash
Listen,
that
yeah,
would hurt
if you're
me.
listening to this, listen to that song. Then we
Or
will go
don't.
ahead and apologize that we made you do that, and then go cleanse your palates.
Or
with-
arrest me.
Listen to Buddy Holly and Beverly Hills, then listen to that. So at least you get two good Weezer songs
Yeah.
before you go into their worst.
What song did White Album end with?
It ended with Endless Bummer, which is a great closer.
Bummer. Endless Bummer's a great one.
I think
yeah.
Louis just went into a euphoric state
Well,
remembering
just-
that song
Oh,
from White
after
Album.
just watching Weezer try to find that emotional route back to them, and they kind of worked towards Red, fell out a little bit, getting back to it with Hurley, and everything will be all right in the end, and then just
Everything Alright had a really good closer. That whole ending suite.
the trilogy, yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty. And then I felt like it was just missing that step. I feel like it was trying to be Pinkerton without officially trying to get there, and then White Album was its own thing while still maintaining its roots. And
Okay.
that's what made White Album just so incredible.
I agree. All right, well, let's go through Logan's opinion here.
Oh gosh, you're trying to get to my opinion.
We're both looking at it.
Okay,
Who's
well,
winning the first annual Real Deal debate night?
Weezer fight.
okay, so my favorite out of the two is Pinkerton.
Yeah, boy.
Here's the thing, and I'll go
Really?
here. And just to clarify to the audience, I listened to Blue Album first, since it's their first album. I listened to them chronologically, and I think Blue Album's great. I think that in terms of it starts off great with My Name Is Jonas. Like I said before, no one else in the world has turned and left. Just kind of feel like an extension of Jonas, and at that kind of point, I was like, all right, let's get to something else. And then Buddy Holly happened. think Buddy Holly's great. I think Undone's great. Surf Wax America, I actually really enjoy.
It's a fun song.
In the Garage is fun. Holiday's fun, and then Only in Dreams it ends really well. But Pinkerton, it just surprised me. It starts off, I think, the same way that a Blue Album does, where I just go, "Yep, that's Weezer, all right. Let's see where this goes." But as soon as it got to Get You, I was hooked. I think it's in terms of like, I think Blue Album has the most peaks and valleys in terms of quality songs. I think all their hit songs are great. Yeah. And I also think, I mean, again, Surf Wax America is great as well. But I mean, I love Across the Sea, El Scorcho. El Scorcho is like really fun to listen to. Yes. Pink Triangle, Falling for You. Basically, the second half of the album, I was hooked. It just it caught me off guard with how much I really enjoyed it, and I don't know. I don't mean to go off.
I'm honestly surprised. I thought like you were telling me through like this whole thing that you weren't the biggest Weezer fans. I was like, okay, so we probably liked Blue Album more because it's a little bit safer of an album just to listen to. So I'm surprised.
The thing is,
I'm just surprised.
I was gonna say the thing that was in my head was like, why Pinkerton for me? And I think it's because as much as I think Blue Album's got a lot of great songs, I'd listen to Pinkerton multiple times. I think Pinkerton, even if I don't know which song is playing at the time of Pinkerton, it keeps that mood consistent all the way through, and it's so smooth. I think it's just a very smooth album that I could listen to while doing homework, while just going to sleep. It's just a fun, kind of emotional
and while you're crying.
Album. Absolutely while you're crying, especially with talking about Japanese girls being tired of sex, El Scorcho. Like, it is a very emotional album, and that's what surprised me when you said that Pinkerton was considered one of the worst albums that it came out that year and whatnot. And I guess I can kind of see that too. If I was going to show somebody to Weezer, I would start with Blue Album.
Yes.
I think it's the easiest way to be like, this is Weezer, and then like, this is Weezer when they're emotional and they want to do some little weird stuff. Like, and so I think both albums are great, but I think Pinkerton's the one I'd listen to on a constant thing, and there's where I'm at that.
All right, let's do closing statements for Louie and I as we end this episode. Louie Weiseman.
I don't really know what to include in a closing statement for a debate I just lost. Other than, man, that's a bummer.
Maybe we should have done that first.
I thought you guys were going to do that first.
That's okay.
Hey, guys, we're still learning how to do this podcast thing, just so you know.
What's a podcast? Yeah. Where am I?
This is all a dream. It's only in dreams.
What's this?
Okay.
That is a microphone. Please don't hit that. I thank you for listening to this.
Shout out to Logan.
Yeah, shout out to Logan for putting up with this.
No,
shout out to our executive producers for allowing this.
Oh yeah, and
listen to
and I mean, if you want to do another fight like this again, you'll be even funnier. And we don't have enough mics for this, but I'd love to hear Nicole and Viv listen to both albums, and especially with Vivian and how highly opinionated she is, I'd love to hear which album she doesn't like as much as the other.
Honestly, that would be a lot of fun.
That would be,
man.
But I think we should do that behind closed doors because I don't think we have enough mics for that. But yeah, we don't really need closing statements. I guess you have a point.
You're right.
Yeah, despite, I'm sorry that you lost, Louie, but
I'll torture you guys in the future.
I was gonna say
by doing
you lost. It's
by
like
doing a parody of Harris Whittle's Analyze Fish.
It's a great it's a great album plus against a great album. I think both are great albums, and I think if you want to get into Weezer, I think you should listen to both. Definitely start with Blue Album, go into Pinkerton. But I'd say definitely listen to both. They're really good music albums.
And if you're sitting here going, "Oh man, I don't know," go listen to White Album. Just go listen to White Album.
Yeah,
White Album's great.
Yeah, if you don't know, I didn't know. Are you kidding me? These guys were just like, listen to these two. Tell me what you think. And like, I was just doing other things around listening to it. And it's if you're worried about getting into Weezer, don't be. They're not a hard band to get into. They're actually really good and fun to listen to. And hey, you could always go back to Beverly Hills. That's always a good go-to.
Louie is
totally
revealing
forgot
his
I put
red
on
Weezer
Weezer
He was jacked.
I put it on this morning, and I completely forgot that I put on my Weezer shirt from this past summer.
I
think it was a sign for the day.
I will say that I owe Louie Weiseman a Fish episode after this. He's pumping his fists.
Okay, do you really want to do that? If anybody even knows what Fish is, or even just like older jam bands, like talking about Allman Brothers or like Government Mule, or
okay, I owe you a jam band episode.
Or dare I get into like Grateful Dead? I'm not the biggest Grateful Dead fan just because I think it's a bit overwhelming. But if you were ever to give like somebody that opportunity, we would be here for hours. I had to give a 4-minute presentation over fish. Do you know how hard that was?
I have a friend who's in that class with you, and he said you did well.
Woohoo!
Well, I
So-
think...
Is that
Weezer.
everything?
Yeah, I think
Well,
we're good. Weezer's
I think
a good
it's a
band.
band.
I was
It's a
gonna say
band.
this will be the finale of this episode. Tune in next week when we talk about is Kanye West really a god? I'm Logan Sowash.
I'm Brandon Kratkoczki, and yes, he is.
And I am Louie Weiseman.
And I'm just kidding about the Kanye West stuff. Good night, folks.
Night.
Good night.
Shout out to Weezer.